Blake Snell, Astros. The Astros are in serious pursuit of Blake Snell, according to Ken Rosenthal and Chandler Rome. Remember, the last time we had a report with the Astros and Josh Hader. Remember, the Astros came out of nowhere for Josh Hader. Everyone was thinking, going into the offseason, you were thinking it was going to be the Texas Rangers. They seemed like a perfect fit, but then money problems. The Dodgers were coming up as a possibility because they were spending left and right, and they could have used an upgrade possibly in the closer role. You even saw the Yankees come up at some points for Josh Hader, and then in the end, the Astros, out of nowhere, like an RKO from Randy Orton, signing Josh Hader, and here we go again with Blake Snell. Now, I'm also just going to point this out. Now, I'm not going to try and, say, I'm not going to be one of those where I'm like, oh, I told you so. But if you go back a while ago, we were talking about Jordan Montgomery. And once the Astros started having issues with the health in their rotation, Justin Verlander for one, I feel like one of the first people to say live, I'm like, don't be surprised if the Astros get involved for someone like Jordan Montgomery. I never made the connection with Blake Snell, but now that I think about it a little bit more, because Jordan Montgomery wants a long-term deal, I mean, he is sticking to his guns. Scott Boras is sticking to his guns. Montgomery doesn't have that draft pick compensation tied to him, so he wants to take advantage of his market while he doesn't have that compensation attached to him. So Blake Snell, on the other hand, you got to think with the Astros, right? It actually makes a lot of sense. And, my potato brain, I'm surprised I didn't think about it before, but I am kind of surprised I didn't think about it before because you got to think with the Astros right now, the way they're currently constructed, they are in a window right now where they're going to be competitive here. I think it's safe to say you're probably going to have a very competitive Astros team, at least for the next 3 years, right? Bregman, who knows what happens to him after this coming year. I do expect guys, like Kyle Tucker to get extended at some point. Altuve did just sign his extension, but he's 34 years old. He's been banged up over, the last couple of years now. So what's the window looking like for him in terms of being one of the more productive players in the game? Obviously, Yordan Alvarez, this guy's going to be sticking around with the Astros for a long time. And Jose Abreu, bad season last year. Hopefully a comeback season for him this year. But with the Astros, right, you got to think that window is steadily closing a little bit. And they've been phenomenal for the last, 7-8 years now. So, I mean, they've made it to 7 straight American League Championship Series. And even, a couple of years before that, they were starting to be on the come up. So they've been very good for a while now. And with the Astros, their farm system doesn't rank very well, right? They tend to get a lot out of their minor leaguers. And, hey, look at what they just did this past deadline, giving up some decent prospects, to bring back Justin Verlander. Of course, the Mets paying a lot of that contract, so that way that they could get prospects in return. So with the Astros, I mean, really, when you think about it, they're going to have to give up a draft pick for Blake Snell, but is it really going to be that big of a deal for them as of right now, where they have a competitive team on the field? So losing a draft pick for them, it's not really the end of the world, whereas a team like my Red Sox, for instance, they need to right now, try and be as competitive as they can. Who knows how much they're going to be this coming year. But even those other teams that, going through, some rebuilds right now, you could even say like the Oakland A's, obviously the Nationals, those are teams that probably don't want to be giving up draft picks right now. So, but with the Astros, it makes sense where it's like, all right, well, okay, we lose a draft pick. Yeah, it'd be nice to have it, but you know what? We got guys that are getting towards the end here. Jose Altuve probably has maybe 2-3 more good seasons left. Bregman's probably gone next year. He's going to get himself a fat contract I don't see the Astros paying, right? George Springer left a couple of years ago. Carlos Correa left. I don't see Bregman sticking around either, to be completely honest with you. I think they want to give that money to guys like Kyle Tucker, Jeremy Pena, right? These are some young guys that I think they would like to have stick around. And then you even got a guy like Framber Valdez who's going to be eventually coming to free agency, and he's already in his 30s. So do the Astros really want to keep him around? So I think it makes a ton of sense for the Astros to bring in someone like Blake Snell, especially if it's going to be a shorter deal where maybe they have him under control for 1 year, maybe 2. Usually, we've seen with these Boris contracts where the opt-out is after the first year. Maybe they structure it a way where you have an opt-out after the second year, possibly. Who knows? But I think Blake Snell, I think it makes all the sense in the world where if he's only going to stick around for 1, 2, maybe 3 years, I think the Astros make a ton of sense. And the one thing I have brought up with the Astros is that they have a very large payroll right now. I think larger than what most people think. This payroll right now is at $255 million. If you bring in Snell, especially on a short-term deal, I would imagine that AAV is going to be at least $30 million. So that's going to push them up closer to $300 million. But listen, if you're the Houston Astros, obviously, you could honestly say they have put together a bit of a dynasty, right? I mean, sure, not winning a World Series this past year, winning it a couple of years ago, but you could honestly say what you will about the trash cans, but they have built themselves kind of a dynasty here where they have just been one of the best teams in baseball for so long now. So I love the idea of adding Blake Snell. I think it's fantastic, especially with all the injuries that they've been having. Jose Urquidy now is having a bit of a problem with the elbow. So, who knows what's going to go on there. Justin Verlander, he's dealing with some shoulder fatigue. That's going to sideline him for a little bit. Lance McCullers Jr., he could come back at some point this year. So they're getting banged up in this rotation already. So someone like Blake Snell, pair him with Framber Valdez and Christian Javier, and then Hunter Brown, who's continuing to make strides. You have a very strong rotation there, and Blake Snell in your rotation still makes you one of the best teams in the game. And especially with, this West, right? The Texas Rangers, I am a little worried about their pitching this coming year, but obviously the defending World Series champions still have a lot of talent there. The Mariners improved a little bit this offseason. They're going to be tough. The Astros, I think, honestly, this is going to get done. I think in the end, this will happen. Because before, we didn't really know where the landing spot for Snell was. We saw the Yankees for so long. Then they pivoted to Marcus Stroman. And it felt like Scott Boras was still trying to keep this guy in the Yankees, trying to make it sound like the Yankees were still involved, right? John Heyman pumping out story after story after story when it came to, Blake Snell and the Yankees. But the Yankees would have to pay so much more than just a salary for Blake Snell. They would have to pay extra luxury tax. They would have to pay draft pick compensation, which that's an organization. Do they really want to give up draft picks after unloading all of these prospects that they've been giving up, right? Juan Soto. So, the Yankees, in my opinion, they just don't make that much sense. But I think Boras was, doing everything he could to manipulate the media into making it sound like the Yankees were really interested. But everyone on this planet knew it was probably not going to happen. I think Yankee fans were still hopeful that it could happen, right? But at the end of the day, though, is it a very smart financial move? Because essentially, if you're paying extra luxury tax and then a draft pick, you're looking at maybe even spending close to like a draft pick in that, like the compensation pick. That's usually, organizations are going to value it differently, usually based on slot value and like history of the pick or in that range. You're probably looking anywhere like around a $5 million value when it when it's all is said and done. Other teams can value it much higher. It really just depends on their own philosophy. I like to say you're probably looking at $5 million for a compensation pick, maybe even upwards to $10 million possibly. So, and then you're paying the taxes. I'm not sure the math in my head, but the Yankees at this point, you're probably looking at paying like a 100% tax. So if you're paying Blake Snell $30 million, you're probably going to pay $30 million in taxes. So that's $60 million, and then let's say $10 million for the draft pick. It's $70 million right there. Is that really worth it for Blake Snell at the end of the day? And then we've seen the Angels, we've seen the Giants. I mean, yeah, like they make sense, but the Angels historically, they don't like to pay the pitchers. Artie Moreno has always been against it. The last guy they brought in was C.J. Wilson years ago when they brought in Pujols back in 2012. So they don't, I don't know, like the Angels to me, they always felt like a great landing spot, but they haven't made the move. They haven't made the splash. Maybe could this be possibly, we're talking about leverage here, Boris manipulating the media. Could this possibly maybe be something to try and get the Angels involved? Because remember, when it comes to leverage, these agents, they like to use the teams in division. So I'm still not going to count out the possibility that maybe the Angels could still be a player for Blake Snell. Because at the end of the day, like the Angels, I mean, I don't know, like even with Blake Snell, are they still going to be any good? We'll see, but they could use him. So maybe this could be a leverage play. However, again, I'm thinking back to the Josh Hader news. This honestly, I feel like this gets done because when you look at the Astros, again, talking about the competitive window, he fits that window. And the Angels, they're kind of in la-la land right now. Like, I don't think they really even know where the heck they are. So, I don't know, but I love this move. If the Astros do it, if they get it done, I think that's great for them, right? And, we talk about the Astros being competitive. Scott Boras did say this as well. He brought up, I don't remember who exactly he was talking to, or it was about like a week ago or something, where he said, he appreciates basically that these teams that are competitive year to year, that they're the ones that they go make these moves, right? They go spend the money, right? Because they want to compete and they want to win. And Boris said he appreciates teams that do that. So this would definitely fit into that category. We'll see. Robert Vale, he is on the plane. Could Blake Snell be on his way to Houston already? Should we crank up the Blake Snell watch? I don't know. I'm just saying. But this would be a fantastic move for the Astros. I mean, that would be a really nasty 1-2 punch with Snell, Valdez, Javier, and Brown behind him. And then that bullpen. I mean, what an offseason for the Astros that would be. Blake Snell and Hader in one offseason. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, you'd have an amazing back end of the bullpen. And then your rotation with Snell and Valdez. And then Verlander comes back eventually. I mean, what a 1-2-3 for the playoffs that would be. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I wouldn't want to go up against that in the playoffs. And Blake Snell, you probably got to think with him. I don't know the guy. I don't know anything about him. I've never had a conversation with the man. Maybe one day. But you got to think he probably looks at this Astros team and says, dang, shoot, I'll go play for the Astros. I mean, they have a shot at winning a World Series every single year. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe he even signs up for like a 3-year deal, even without an opt-out. Maybe he does a similar deal. I think Josh Hader was a flat, he did a 5-year deal. Honestly, could Blake Snell maybe do a 5-year deal? I would imagine it's probably going to be an opt-out. But at the end of the day, this would be amazing. And I think if the Astros are actually interested and this is not just some kind of a leverage play, I think they should absolutely go for it. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but that window, who knows what it could look like? Because the Astros, at the end of the day, they're going to have to start paying attention to this farm system at some point, right? Sure, they can get as much out of this farm system as they can. They usually do pretty well with some of these young guys that come up. But at some point, you're going to have to start adding some serious talent, and you're going to have to start focusing more on that draft and bringing in players internationally, and maybe even making some trades at some point to, beef up that farm. Hey, the Astros, they've been so good for so long, but how much longer can they keep it up? So you might as well take advantage of it while you can. You might as well go spend the money and go try and win yourself another championship. So let's get to our next story here. And, not really a story, but I do just want to focus on Jordan Montgomery just for a second. I mean, man, look at the camera. I can't believe how much better this camera looks. I'm just saying. I look terrible, but the camera at least makes it look a little better, a little bit more digestible. But as for Jordan Montgomery, if Blake Snell does sign this coming weekend, for example, let's say it happens this coming weekend. I mean, I wonder what the ripple effect would be for Jordan Montgomery's market. I mean, once Blake Snell's off the board, because I've said this before, that I think Blake Snell is going to be the first one that comes off, right? Because he is the Cy Young winner, the multiple-time Cy Young winner, one of the better pitchers in the game. He's a guy that has more upside than Jordan Montgomery, where Montgomery has more of a floor. So I think once Snell is off, Montgomery, at some point, I would have to imagine is going to come off the board soon after. I mean, who knows, right? The Red Sox seem like a perfect fit, but as each day goes by, is it going to happen? I'll give you an honest answer. The fact that the Red Sox haven't done it yet, and Montgomery is looking for a long-term deal, I wonder if he ends up just going to the Cubs. Honestly, right? They're having a couple of question marks when it comes to their rotation, right? So, I mean, Jordan Wicks, I guess, what's going on with Wicks here? Let me see. I was hearing a little bit of something about Jordan Wicks. Oh, he was right there in the rotation. I didn't even see him. But this is a younger guy at this point, right? 24 years old, where maybe you could be a little flexible with him, but he has been pitching well. His last outing, he went into the fifth inning and he struck out 7 Rangers. I mean, that's not bad, but again, he's young, so maybe you could do something. In the fifth spot right now, as you can see, Hayden Wesneski. You're probably wondering, how do Hayden Wesneski get into this rotation on the projections? Well, that's because Jamison Tyone, he's having a little something going on with the back, right? It says here, Craig Counsell says his availability for opening day is in jeopardy after he's shown little improvement in his recovery from a lower back injury. So he's been dealing with a nagging back. So, the fact that you could have some flexibility with Jordan Wicks, maybe he goes into more of a long relief kind of a role, or you could just have him as a 6th guy, right? Because you have Imanaga, who has been looking very strong this spring. He's striking out guys left and right. I mean, let's actually go pull up Imanaga here. Man, he had 8 strikeouts the other day in 3 innings or whatever it was. How many guys did he strike out the other day? He struck out a ton. I mean, looking at just the overall numbers, he's gone 9 2/3, and he's struck out 19 batters this spring. I mean, that's phenomenal. Are you kidding me? So, but Imanaga, he is coming from a 6-man rotation. So, if you had a rotation of Steele, Montgomery, Imanaga, Hendricks, Wicks, and then Tyone when he comes back, I mean, you're looking pretty strong there. And then you have some other guys, like Wesneski, like Javier Assad. So I'm actually wondering if Montgomery is going to end up with the Cubs. Because at this point, the Cubs, they are entering a window of competitiveness that they already have, right? Last year, they were right there in the wild card hunt. So they're firmly in this competitive window now. I'm honestly starting to think, man, I don't think the Red Sox are going to do it. I want them to. It makes so much sense. But I think they're honestly going to use this year, at least it feels to me, as an evaluation kind of a year where, you got Andrew Bailey as your pitching coach. I think the way I'm honestly starting to feel, and I have felt this for a little bit now, even for a little while, but I still thought you could still add someone like Montgomery into this rotation. But I honestly wonder if the Red Sox are going to be using this year to really just evaluate players, right? Look at what young guys that they have moving forward. You got to remember, this is Breslow's first year with the Red Sox. This is Andrew Bailey's first year as the pitching coach. So do they feel like someone like Montgomery is really worth it at this point? I do. I would absolutely bring him in. I think if you add Montgomery, I still think it makes the Red Sox competitive. I do. I genuinely believe that, and that's not even like a Giraffe Nick Robbie kind of a thing. But honestly, the way I'm starting to feel now, the only other team that could make some sense for Mr. Monty are the Chicago Cubs, right? That would give him a lot of lefties. You would have Steele and Imanaga and Wicks and Montgomery. So that is a bit there. But you got to remember, Montgomery, Tyone, they are good friends, so that there is a connection there. So I'm sure Tyone has been probably trying to talk into someone's ear there, like, hey, come on, bring in Monty, man. Bring in Monty. So right now, I just wonder if the Cubs are going to pop up and eventually just bring him in. I know the wife is in Boston, but if the Red Sox aren't going to do anything long term, I don't know. It sounds like they're not budging, and it sounds like they're being extremely disciplined. So I don't know. Everyone. My guess right now, I would think probably the Cubs. And, Chain Death, I see what you're saying. Montgomery gives the Red Sox 75 wins instead of 73. I've been kind of going back and forth a little bit on the Red Sox the last couple of days. I still honestly think the Red Sox have a shot to win more than 80. That might sound like I'm coping. I know. Probably you might think I'm crazy. But the Red Sox, there's a lot of upside with some of the players that they have. I'm not saying they're going to be a contender by any means, but I think they could be in that 80 to 85 win range, more like 80 to 82 right now, in my opinion. I think with Montgomery, he could make you an 85 win team. So we'll see. But that's all I got on Montgomery. Just kind of wanted to let you guys know. I'm wondering if it's going to end up being the Cubs, because really at this point seems to make the most sense for them. Maybe he goes to St. Louis. Maybe he goes back there. I don't know, like a 1-year deal, or maybe even like a multi-year deal or something. I don't know. So we'll see. But let's talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates. We had a couple of moves from the Pittsburgh Pirates today. John Heyman actually just announcing not too long ago that, getting used to my new buttons, I had to readjust my my little button thing here, my Stream Deck. And but he says here, Domingo Germán going to the Pirates on a minor league deal. That's just crazy to me, because Domingo Germán, he literally just threw a perfect game. And again, though, maybe it's not that crazy because he had some real issues off the field. So that is something. So I can understand that point of view. But hey, if the Pirates, end up here, let me pull up the Pirates. Here we go. Pulling up the Pirates. So right now, with the Pirates, I mean, you got a rotation of Mitch Keller, who looked great last year. Could he even get better, right? You brought in some veterans like Martin Perez, Marco Gonzalez. Got Jared Jones vying for a rotation spot here, so that could be interesting. And then you bring in a guy like Domingo Germán, it looks like, okay, so they added him here. So, I mean, looking at Germán, looking at his numbers, he pitched over 100 innings last year. ERA and the FIP were in the mid-4s. But the strikeout to walk ratio still looked really good. The one thing with Germán, though, is he was just leaving a lot of stuff over the plate, right? That's kind of evident. When you have a high ERA and a high FIP, but your strikeout to walk ratio still looks pretty good, that just honestly means you're leaving a bunch of stuff over the plate, right? So he was getting hit a bit hard last year. Again, did have the perfect game. But hey, for the Pirates, say what you will about the off the field stuff. I know, obviously not good, but when it comes to Domingo Germán, that's some depth. And then you don't forget about Paul Skeens. Looked pretty good the other day, striking out Jackson Holiday. Paul Skeens looking like a gamer, man. Can't wait for him. But hey, this Pirates rotation, it could end up looking really sneaky, and adding Michael Taylor today. I was kind of surprised about that. Michael Taylor going to the Pirates, did not see that one happening, especially getting more money than Adam Duvall. Adam Duvall heading back to the Braves, by the way. Good for Adam Duvall. So isn't Michael Taylor also a Pittsburgh guy? I could be wrong on that. No. I thought maybe I saw that there was a connection with the Pirates at some point. Because, no, he grew up in Florida. All right. So, yeah, never mind. I thought I saw some kind of a connection with the Pirates. But, hey, at the end of the day, you've all heard me talk about defense up the middle. And, hey, Michael Taylor was one of the better defensive center fielders in the game last year. At the end of the day, it is never going to hurt to add great defense at the premium positions, like center field, shortstop, second base, catcher. So, I think Michael Taylor, this is a nice ad for them. I like this move. It's not going to, be a transcending kind of a move, but I think it's pretty solid in the end. This is a guy who hit 20 home runs last year while playing some good defense. So, hey, all of a sudden the Pirates, to me, I think they look pretty respectable, and I think they could be a sneaky team in this Central Division this year. So, we will have to wait and see what the Pirates look like. But all of a sudden, they got some depth. They got some talent. I'm liking what the Pirates are doing. Decent. But everyone, just want to go over tonight's sponsor, and that is BetUS. So everyone, just want to play the little commercial for you. We'll be right back.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up.
Okay, so let's just go over a couple of odds real quick. So with BetUS right now, they have a great deal going. Your first 3 deposits, you get a 125% bonus. And earlier, we were taking a look at the Astros and Blake Snell. So let's take a look at a couple of odds here when it comes to where Blake Snell could end up going and how many wins the Astros could be over or under according to BetUS. So as of right now, they have the odds for Blake Snell, and right now the Angels are at plus 200 and the Astros are at plus 250. So right now, this could be, if you're feeling pretty strongly about the report for the Houston Astros and Blake Snell, you could go put a bet down. So let's say right now, I go put maybe down So right now, $10 is the limit. So I could bet $10 right now, and I would win $25. So you know what? I'm actually going to place this down. So now I have a bet in. I've just put down $10, and if he does indeed end up going to the Houston Astros, I'm going to win myself $25. So, and then if you have Blake Snell on this team, honestly, I think the Astros with Blake Snell, I think that's an easy over for 92.5 wins. So right now, I believe, the limit is $50. So if I put down $50, now it is a minus on the odds. So I would have to bet more to try and win more, right? So actually, I can go 60. So if I bet $60, that would win me $50, right? So, I mean, honestly, I think that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. I mean, because that to me, it's one of those safe bets. Yeah, I'm putting down 60, but I would win myself 50, right? So, hey, I've got a couple bets down here, so go try it out for yourself. Again, the link is in the description down below. You get a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits, minimum deposit of $100. Go try it out for yourself. Go win yourself some cash. But make sure you play responsibly. So let's get to a couple of more news here. And we got the Yankees in the news. A lot of talk around Garrett Cole lately. Actually, I mean, my goodness, this actually just happened not too long ago either. Or as well, I don't know what I mean. I can't talk right now. My goodness. My potato brain is starting to kick in, everyone. J.D. Davis heading to the Oakland A's. I mean, hey, he had to go somewhere, right? I mean, why not? Why not? No pressure out there. Just go focus on your game. Why not? And hey, he just was in San Francisco, so he's not really having to go too far. And maybe J.D. Davis ends up having himself a pretty decent season, and then that could be good for the Oakland A's, right? That could be a trade piece at the deadline, possibly, if a team is looking for a right-handed bat. So overall, it's a good, cheap move. J.D. Davis gets a place to play. But catching up on Garrett Cole here, it looks like he is likely to avoid Tommy John, and that's the indication I got too, right? At least that's what my gut said, because Garrett Cole has been one of these guys over the years now. Go back to 2017. He's first in innings pitched since 2017. Year to year, he's a workhorse, right? But he's not just a workhorse. We're like, you have these guys every single year that give you innings, but he's not just one of those guys. He's near the top of the league. He's near the top of all of Major League Baseball when it comes to the stuff numbers, when it comes to, the ERA, the FIP, the strikeout numbers. Garrett Cole today, say what you will about Garrett Cole. A lot of people like to, they like to pick on the guy, but Garrett Cole, at the end of the day, I'm not comparing him to Randy Johnson or Pedro Martinez or Roger Clemens, but he is that version today, in today's game, where a guy that gives you innings every year, some of the best stuff in the game, some of the best numbers in the game. Again, I'm not comparing him to those guys, but he is one of those guys today in 2024, right? Where every year he is near the top of all the leaderboards. So losing someone like Garrett Cole, I don't think is good for baseball, right? This is a guy, he's the face, in my opinion, of pitching in baseball. So my initial reaction when all this news came out that he was going to get an MRI, I honestly thought, like, okay, I even said this, I think it's just going to be a flare-up, right? I think it's something that it's probably going to be a bit of a setback. And yeah, so it looks like he's only going to miss 1 to 2 months. Who knows? We'll have to reevaluate at that point. Let's see what ends up happening. Once he starts ramping things back up again, playing catch, throwing off the mound, that's when you're going to really know if Garrett Cole is going to be back. So, however, as for the Yankees right now without Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortes is getting the nod for opening day. And a lot of people initially thought, okay, well, you can just go with Carlos Rodon. You can just go with Marcus Stroman. And the Yankees even asked Marcus Stroman if he wanted to be the opening day guy. But I guess with Stroman and Rodon, they're both on their schedules right now. So Stroman said that he really didn't want to get off of that schedule. And he's lined up to pitch the opener at Yankee Stadium. Sounds like Marcus Stroman really wants to pitch the first game in New York for the Yankees this year. So he probably had his heart set on that. But it's also, too, his schedule is lined up for that, So it makes a lot of sense. And then, with Carlos Rodon, he had a lot of issues last year. He probably wants to stick to his schedule right now. He's lined up for the second game of the season, so he probably doesn't want to mess with anything right now. So at the end of the day, Nestor Cortes had a bad season last year, a lot of injuries last year, but still a fan favorite. I think with Nestor Cortes, I think that's a good choice. He's nasty Nestor. Yankee fans love Nestor Cortes. So in the end, Cortes gets the opening day nod. So our next story, we got Ollie Marmol getting an extension with the Cardinals. Now, my immediately when all this happened, Jim of Ballcap Sports, I don't know if he's watching right now, but he commented like a GIF today, and it just made me laugh, like, because Jim hates. Oh wait, hold on a second. I hit the wrong button. Jim hates what the Cardinals have done this offseason. He doesn't think Marmol is a good manager for the Cardinals, right? You saw how they all kind of just fell apart last year. There just didn't seem to be any cohesiveness within the clubhouse. The way he was handling the Wilson Contreras saga last year, with the position change and everything, taking him out of that catcher role, talking about the outfield, DH, the whole thing was a mess, right? The Cardinals were just a mess last year. How about those Marlins spring training jerseys, by the way? They look fantastic. How about Noble Meyer? I'm just saying. But Ollie Marmol, man, this is a guy Cardinals fans don't seem to be very high on, at least from what I've read in Twitterland. Doesn't really seem to be a fan favorite, right? Everyone wants Yadier Molina to be that next guy. It seems inevitable that he's going to be that next guy, but for right now, Cardinals and Marmol have an extension through 2026, so that gives him this year and next year. But still, it still feels like okay, we're going to give you more of a chance here, right? Last year, okay, whatever, let's move on from that. But, we're next couple of years here, we're going to really see if we can do something with this team. So we'll see how this goes. Cardinals fans don't seem to be very excited about it. I think everyone wants Yadier Molina to be in that position. So we'll see. But the Cardinals this year, I don't know, man. I'm very iffy on the Cardinals. I feel like they could be good, but then I also think they might still be on the come up a little bit, right? They really had a setback last year, and I'm wondering how much better they get this year. It could be a good improvement. It could be a really good improvement, or could it just be maybe a minor improvement? I'm wondering what the ceiling is for the Cardinals, and I'm wondering even what the floor is. I would imagine probably in that 80-win range is probably the floor. I mean, who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, teams have to just go and play. You really get an idea of them in the first couple of weeks. But, they do have improved pitching, right? They do have more innings in this rotation. So let's see. It seems like the Cardinals, these guys like Sonny Gray, Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, they do seem pretty motivated, all right? Because a lot of people have been trashing on the Cardinals rotation. Everyone wanted them to get Aaron Nola. Didn't happen. So I think these guys have a chip on their shoulder thinking, okay, well, hey, we can do a pretty good job here. Why don't you just see what we can do? And they're kind of looking at themselves like underdogs, right? And they still have a lot of good bats in the lineup. So if this team plays well, then Marmol is in good shape. So we'll see. But this is going to be a big year for everyone in St. Louis. So we'll see how it goes. But it does seem like Yadier Molina is the choice for people long term. But we'll see. You never know how the cookie will crumble. Is that the way they like to say it these days? But everyone, I'm out of here. Just a quick stream tonight, Friday night stream. It's been it's been a little down lately on the streams. I mean, we haven't even been able to get. I mean, we had a pretty good stream the other day with Dylan Cease. I was not home to go live when that happened, so it is what it is. But lately it's been a little down with the views. I put a couple of videos. Everyone, if you can, go check out those last couple of videos I put out. But we're in a slow time right now with baseball. It's kind of just that dead time, and we're getting these little bits of news with Snell, maybe Montgomery. JD Martinez still out there, so we'll see. But yeah, it has been a little slow over the last couple of weeks. So I think we're gonna start picking up here a little bit when it comes to viewership. Views are just down across the board right now. Even some of the top channels, their views are down right now. So it's just that time of the year. But I am gonna start saying, everyone, like, we have some exciting things coming up for this coming season. I would like to do some more streams throughout the week, in the morning time especially. So I'm going to talk about that more further, but hey, be on the lookout for stuff like that. I've also put a poll on this channel. If you can go help me out, go vote on the poll on the community tab if you haven't already, because I'm trying to get a good idea of what people are interested for this coming year, and morning streams is one of them, to talk about the games the night prior. So let me know what you think about that idea. Again, go vote on the poll. That's all I need. So we'll see. But yeah, so everyone, that's all I got for tonight. Thank you for stopping by. If you can, on the way out, hit that like button for me. All right, we hit our goal, 100 likes. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Make sure that bell is turned on. Share the show. Subscribe if you are new. But everyone, I'm going to hop out of here. Thank you for stopping by tonight. Have a good rest of your night. I'm going to probably be back here Sunday night, so be on the lookout for that. Have yourself a good weekend, everybody, and I'll talk to you next time.